All right, welcome to today's show. We've got in the studio today. We've got head coach of the PCC Beavers out here at the JUCO, Coach Ken Kepley. Ken, thanks for coming in and joining me today. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Excited to talk to you and kind of hear what all's been going out over there for really the last 10 years. You've been this your 11th season out there at PCC.
I think so, yeah.
Think sound about right? Yeah. I'm see what I had for you. I tried to do a little bit of homework on you, but yeah, I saw that 11th year head coach came here from Appalachian State. Is that right?
Appalachian.
I was going to ask you on the pronunciation there because you hear it both ways, and since you're from there,
it's the Appalachian Trail.
Okay.
It's the Appalachian Mountains.
So which way do you say the university?
Appalachian State.
Appalachian State.
Yeah.
Okay, and you wrestled there from. What were your years there? 03 to 09?
Yeah, I was there for a while.
Yeah. Now, were you there the year that they upset Michigan, one of the greatest upsets in sports history, the football program?
Yeah, it's kind of funny because it was on the Big Ten Network, and we were watching it on I was watching Virginia Tech and ECU. And one of my buddies, he actually is the head coach at Olathe North. He was the coach before me, the head coach before me.
Out here at the college?
Out here at the college. So he moved back to Olathe, and I was at App, and he called me. He's like, "Are you watching this?" And I was like, "Yeah, no." You know, I was partaking in festivities at college, and we're just sitting there, and I hear the phone drop, and he's just screaming. And Corey Lynch, the guy that blocked the field goal, I think he had over 10 blocked field goals in his career there. We've seen him do that numerous times.
Really?
He jabs to the outside and just slides right in. He did it, returned it. That was a crazy week, and then like 2 weeks later we lose to Wofford.
Yeah.
So
that's crazy though. Yeah, that still goes down in the books as one of the greatest upsets in all of sports. You know.
They went to our stadium, the fans did, and they tore down our goalpost and they walked them around King Street, kind of like what they did this year with Texas A&M.
Yeah.
And then there's this place called the Broy Hill Inn, and it's at the top of a mountain on campus, and it's where App Heights is. And they took both goalposts up there, and the chancellor lives at the top of it, and they just left it in his front parking lot.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So transition to how does a guy go from wrestling D1 at App State and then make your way out here to Pratt, Kansas? How do you find your way out here? And how did you know at what point kind of in your wrestling career did you know you wanted to go on and be a coach?
Well, my dad was the coach. You know, I watched him do a lot. I kind of didn't know what I wanted to do out of high school. You know, I got into every Ivy League school that I got recruited by. I got into Duke University. I got into a lot of places. I had a 4.65 GPA coming out of high school. And I tell this story to my guys all the time. They'll probably start laughing if they listen to this. But my dad wrestled at Appalachian. I ended up wrestling at Appalachian. One of my best friends that I met there was Josh Carroll. He's at Olathe North High School now. He's from Olathe. He played on those same teams with Maurice Mack and Darren Sproles. He was on the same Metro team as them. He was the better athlete of those guys. He just didn't fit the bill. But he was a very good wrestler. He was a 3-sport All-American in high school. So I meet him out there. So I was kind of like a journeyman in the weight classes. I was a role player. He was the star. But we were buddies. We hit it off quick. We both love football. We both love everything. He comes out here. I'm still finishing up school. I've redshirted twice, which doesn't ever happen. So I stayed that last year to get my second degree. And then Josh came out here. He was at Olathe. He wanted to get back into college. Came out here, was the assistant for a year under Brooke Madrano. Then Brooke Madrano left. Josh took over. Then he called me out. So I graduated. I came out, and within a year, that job opens at Olathe North. He goes up there.
Goes back home.
Then I took over. So it was like boom, boom, done. Like the first job offer I got, though, was to be assistant coach at Duke.
Really?
Because the coach knew me. I was a part of his first camp when I was in sophomore in high school. Freshman. I was going to be, sophomore in high school. He knew what I was capable of, I guess, and all that stuff. Where I'm like, why are you talking to me? So we went to this big tournament called the Southern Scuffle. And he looked at me and goes, when are you going to be done with college? I was like, oh, hopefully this year. Like, I don't like school that much anymore. And then he told me to go get my USA weightlifting certification and then some other certifications because he needs a strength coach, and I could be like that second assistant and work my way up. And the funny thing about that is I would have been in the weight room with men's basketball too.
Oh, that would have been cool. You've been seen a lot of players there.
Yes, and like when I tell them the story, like people are like, "Oh, he's lying." It's like you can't make this up. So I applied, I got everything, was a finalist, didn't get it, and then I ended up at Pratt.
the tale of two stories there.
Here's the craziest part. So the kid that got the job, you know, his name's Jordan Lean. His dad was the wrestling coach at Garden City Community College.
Really?
Yeah, but he was I think he was a 2-time national champ, 3-time All-American at Cornell. He came in to be I think he was a GA at the time. And it was crazy because I moved out here, like a few hours away from Garden City.
And he's going to Duke
on
a job
he's been to Virginia. He's been the coach at Virginia. He's been the coach at Brown. He's been moving around and stuff. I don't know where he is right now, but it's kind of crazy how that happened. Now, how serious it was that I was going to actually get that job, I never thought that I would even be able to apply.
Right.
But the coach urged me to it. But this was a better calling because the coach was Claire Anderson, really good person, really good guy. He wrestled at Auburn, and then he went to OU because Auburn dropped their program, SEC dropped wrestling.
Okay.
And then he went to OU, and I think he was a 2-time national champ, and he wanted me to work. I wanted to work with him. He wanted to work with me. And I was like, there's no way. I didn't have that successful of a career or anything, but he watched me work. And that tells you a lot about that situation. But then I end up out here, and people are like, there's no way. What are you doing out here? I was like, there's a lot of junior college coaches that are very good at their job. They just like this level because of the kids that they get to interact with.
Yeah.
Instead of having to be a CEO and a business guy at the D1, D2 level. D2 is a little bit easier.
Right.
Like D1 is like, you can't really like. I like relationships.
Yeah, it's probably more hands-on at the JUCO level.
Yeah, and that's why Claire couldn't really get it going because Duke has 0 scholarships for wrestling. They go to lacrosse, they go to basketball, women's basketball, Title IX issues, and football. Even though they are consistently not the greatest at football, that's where all the money goes. So all of theirs is institutional or it's fundraised. So when I got accepted there, I was like, there's no way possible that I could do that. And then when you go Ivy League, they don't have LOIs.
Which is what?
A letter of intent.
Oh, letter of intent. Okay.
Yeah, you can't sign with them. You can you can say you've been accepted. So when you see somebody make a graphic, it's like, I'm glad to announce that I have been accepted to Cornell University. They don't sign LOIs. So they just get institutional money or it's fundraised through the program. So it's totally different. Like a lot of people don't know that.
No, I had no idea that. Yeah. I would just assumed Division I. You know, you look at all the other big sports.
Yeah.
It's across the
Duke's
board.
Duke's different. They're in the ACC, so they do give
same. You know,
but you're signing for money from the school, so it's hard to win at that level with that. The coach there now, Glenn Lanham, he's an Oklahoma State guy. He's a great guy. I talked to him a few times out at tournaments that I see him at and everything. And it's like, I'd like to come home, but I really like it out here.
Yeah. You know, and I listened to, I pulled up a podcast that you had done a couple years back, and I can't remember who the host was.
It was probably Pat Kelly.
It might have been, but you had mentioned when you got here that you had kind of a 10-year plan that you wanted to see through, and, you know, and on your 10th year now, I think you'd mentioned that you wanted to recruit all Kansas kids. You wanted to have the best GPA, you know, out of all the programs. Mm-hmm. And I believe some national championships was on that list. Where are you at now in terms of that goal? I think you've achieved all those marks, haven't you?
All of them but the big one.
Yeah.
Like, 2 years ago, that would have been year 9. We're in. I tell the guys, don't look at the ticker because at the national tournament is a big jumbotron, and then on the bottom or the top, I don't know. I don't ever look at it. I just look at it to see what the bouts are. So at the top or the bottom, there's a ticker of who's in first. Well, my dumb self looked up there and it said Pratt was in first. And Tim was texting me on my AD was texting me on my phone, which I shouldn't like. I told him, I was like, shut up.
Yeah, leave me alone. I'm trying. I got enough going on here.
Yeah, it's like, Tim, shut up. Like, we don't talk about it. And the guys, like, we didn't get cold feet or anything. It's just that things did, like, we had 4 national finalists that year. We had 7 All-Americans. That's the most that we've ever had. And the other 3, 2 of them were in the blood round, which is the round where you're either in or you're out for day 2, and that's the AA round. And our 197-pounder, he actually blew out his knee in February, and he was ranked 6th. He out of the people that were on the podium, he beat 6 of those guys.
Wow.
But we did what we could. Our training staff was amazing at rehabbing him and everything. He kept wrestling through the whole thing. He is tough. He's from Derby. His name's Bryce Westmoreland. He's probably one of the tougher kids I've ever met.
Yeah.
He was out there on one leg, got a cortisone shot. Probably shouldn't have done that because you got to sit for a little bit to do it. And then he was like, I feel good, but my lungs were not where they're supposed to be. I felt like I lost a little bit of shape. And I was like, yeah. But in year 9, we did everything that was my goals. Putting down a national championship is just so cliche.
Yeah.
I don't care. If
Right.
you qualify 10 kids, that's step 1. We qualified 10. Step 2, 10 academic All-Americans. We had 9. But we won the Team GPA award at the end of the year. I'll take that too. I wanted to win every single award that was up there. We won a sportsmanship award. Jake actually won it that year because it's like, oh yeah, we'll just give it to the guy that kind of got screwed in the finals.
Yeah.
So, and we had one of our kids who's really close to me, Michael Spangler, won a 2nd, and then after that, like we lost 3 straight, and I was just like, it was almost like watching somebody like just get beat up and you couldn't do anything about
Yeah.
it. And we came out of nowhere. Then the questions start coming. How did he do this? Did they get a new dorm? I literally had a coach tell another coach, say, well, they must have got a lot more money or got a new dorm or something. Like, basically he's telling me that I suck at coaching.
That it must have been facilities
Yeah.
or something like that that's getting kids coming in
I
here.
can tell you right now, that is not the case.
I can agree with you. I drive by there.
Yeah, that is not it. We just, I think it's more of the hard work that I do in the spring and the summer. I'm never here. I'm never really seen, but I like that podcast. He calls me because that I am everywhere with Team Kansas. And when I think of community colleges, I think of it's a community college. You're supposed to get the kids around or in the state to come play for you, not Mongolia, not Lithuania, not all of these other places. Not discrediting anybody from that. But when you get into our sport or like track, where these kids could be making money when they're 13 and they wrestle a different style, they don't have colleges out there. These guys are wrestling grown men when they're 15.
Yeah.
And then we got to go wrestle them, and they're 20-something years old, got kids, and they're wrestling your 18-year-old son out there, and we get killed or we go beat them or something like that. That's not what I think JUCO should be. Now, we still got to compete against this. It's not an excuse. But we do very well against them, and we do very well against what we're up against. I've never given a full ride in my life. Books, tuition, and fees, I think, is the most that I give. And they're okay with it because they've already built a relationship with me years prior with that. And everything's like legal. There's no
NIL money out there at the JUCO level.
There is. Some JUCOs have that
Do
because
they?
there's some towns that really support that. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if, like, you know how good a community Cowley is, that they could start doing that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, if they get the right coach in and if they get the right kids in and stuff. Like Dayton Porsche, we had him here. He's a world team member. Like, we had our first world team member. We've always had somebody to get close, but he made the world team. Like, I don't think people understand that. Like, he was basically on the Olympic ladder for that, and he beat the guy that represented us at the last World Championships.
Wow.
In that tournament. And that started off that year. And then he came in, and then we had COVID, so we did it all second semester. Then we had a transfer come in that helped us. And he made the blood round, and he was from Goddard. And Goddard's like a top 25 team in high school every year, and I got 7 of them right now. So, and I'll have more in the future because I got a good relationship with them. But we almost did it at 9. But I got all of my goals attained in 9. And now I'm still chasing it, and I'm very stubborn. I don't want to go get an out-of-state kid. I will welcome them to come in. But when I was talking about community colleges, you are your product. We want every Kansas kid to come here. And it's starting to get that way. We lose kids because of their major.
Meaning the JUCO doesn't have some classes or courses that they need if they're chasing a certain major. And
I lost a few kids to Colby because they have solar wind. I lose a few kids to Cloud because they have a certain type of major. We get a lot of kids because we have power line school, which is great.
Yep.
Ag power, great. All of our institutional trades are, I think we have the best in the state. I don't think there's anybody else that's going to touch our welding program. I don't think there's anybody else that's going to touch our EPT program. Nobody else has one that has wrestling. Nobody's going to touch our automotive program. Everything is awesome out there with that. But like we pull those kids, and that's the only time I lose those kids. But we started a new, basically a new hashtag with our program. It's called Developed Here. Like I develop kids, and it kind of shows the work between that, because some of these coaches will see these kids come in year one. It's like, oh, okay, well, he went 0-2 at the national tournament. Well, this kid's ranked 4th in the country this year. You would have never thought that because the kid's from Larned.
Yeah.
Or the kid's from Manhattan and placed one time in high school, but he goes out and wins a national championship, and he beats 12 state titles on the way to the finals.
Yep. I would imagine those results then really help you in the recruiting trail when you can go around to these other Kansas high schools or even, Pratt say, hey, I don't need your 3-timer, or if you got a 4-timer, we can take somebody that, like you said, was a one-time state champ or maybe not even a state champ, and we can turn them into something, because look what I've done. I mean, I've done it in the past. Here's the proof's in the pudding.
Yeah, it's all about taking it step by step, and I'm not perfect. I never ever told anybody I was, but there's a lot of kids that think I'm the gospel. And I hate that because I mess up a lot, and I feel like I do. It's just that I fall forward all the time. And the one person that keeps me up is Jay Sweet. And he used to live here. And he coached at Stafford and everything, and I give a lot of credit to him. He's like a father figure of sorts, because he's like, I'm like, man, we're just not there yet. He's like, shut up, just keep working, you're doing fine.
Just trust the process.
Yeah, because everybody in town's going to tell you everything, but what is everybody outside going to say? So when you say the results help me, it's not the results. It's what I do in the spring and the summer for free, no charge or nothing. That's what matters to me, the relationships I make there, because now I don't have an assistant coach at the JUCO. I do this all by myself.
Really?
Jay helps. He lives in Garden. So he'll drive and help me coach, and I had to do everything with the kids, but he's kind of like, hey, we need to keep Kepley happy. What can I do, boss? He calls me boss. He's like way older than me. Not that old, but he's like 50-something. And he's calling me boss, and he'll do anything for me, and I'll do anything for him. He's basically taking me into his family. And I have a lot of moms. I have a lot of, whatever, but that one sticks out the most because he's like a mentor too. But every single high school coach trusts me, and they believe it, and they believe in it. So it's like when I got here, all I heard was about Snyder at K-State. What I do. 100% started studying him. Yeah. What he does, handwritten letters, keeping kids in state, going to the JUCOs and doing that. Well, how can I feed these kids to a D1, show them the right way and get there? Because you can have those JUCO kids come in and just make the wrong decisions, and they can still go D1 and they'll just use them. I want these kids to be self-sufficient when they leave. I want them to be better people. I want to be a good husband, good brother. Yeah. I want them to be all of those things. So that's kind of how it started. It's not the results at all. The result, that's the cherry on top. Right. Because I've changed a lot of things technically and time management wise and stuff like that, if you have the same 2 years with the same lineup and the same regimen and everything, you get complacent. You got to change something. You got to get something better. But I've been doing this the same for a while. It's just that I didn't have the talent. Now I'm getting the talented kids. I have a 3-time state champ from Norton. He's not starting for us. There's 2 guys that didn't sign D1 that were ranked at the end of the year, that were nationally ranked at the end of the year last year. One of them's here. He's from Manhattan. I got like our heavyweight is an anomaly. He's a freak. He's going to North Dakota State next year.
Wow.
He had like, I don't want to call him out, but he had a very, very low GPA coming out of Goddard. Now he's got like a 3.2. Like he's figured it out. He's a COVID kid. He got like some of these kids are COVID kids. They got really lucky because they needed that extra year to mature. And if they walked in here right now, it would be like talking to another grown up. They would just BS with you, come in here, just joke with you, and you'd be like, I would like to have that kid over for dinner.
Yep, and that's a great compliment to hear about kids you're coaching.
Yeah, like these kids are everywhere in the community doing everything, and we try to help PWC out as much as we can, but they know how strapped I am to a lot of things at the JUCO because I teach classes out there. I'm a professor, like a mentor. I strength train. I do stuff in the summer. I'm never here. Like last year, we went to Vegas. I took Devin Dawson, our heavyweight, out to Vegas, and he made a U.S. national team. Now, it was during the draft, and we went there to do work. I think he had more fun than I did because I was just sitting there stressing out about him.
Yeah.
But then I coach another kid, Nick Treaster. He's going for his 4 state titles from Newton, and he made a world team, and he goes to Rome, and he really wanted me to go with him to Rome. And I was like, I can't do that to my kids that are coming in. And those kids were like, you're an idiot for not going.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't think I would have went or I would have been able to go. But Nick was like, man, like, I think that, like, I would really like for you to go. We had that conversation. And I was like, no. And Nick's one of the top recruits in the country. Now, that's another thing, too. These coaches trust me for that reason. Do I want your kid? Yes. Do I want Devin Weber? Yes. People got really upset with me when I didn't recruit him. I was like, my job is not to recruit him. My job was to take him since he was in 8th grade. When I got him, I made a promise to Rhonda. I said, hey, he ain't coming here. If he does, I messed up. And it goes to Hayes. He was on track to do great things. He's just had a few injuries.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not saying I have to take all the credit because Tate did a good job, Bo did a good job, all those guys did a good job. That's not my job.
Right.
Like, if I am really, really bad one year or after the next couple of years, it's because I trust this state and we need to get better as a state so I could get those kids from this pool. Now I'm starting to get these out-of-state kids because it's just like AAU, like Emmanuel Adigan's really good at the Western Kansas Elite stuff, and Kenny Eddy. Well, they get the out-of-state kids to come in and play for them too, and it kind of funnels into something. I learned that from Pat Hall, that was the volleyball coach at Pratt.
Oh,
when I
really?
first got there too. He has a side team, like a club team.
Right.
And he brings these kids in. He like basically just breeds them into being this athlete. And then they're like, I want to play for Pat. So I do that.
Yeah.
But if they decide to go somewhere else, that's great. I had a lot of kids that signed D1 that have been in our room that I've traveled around and helped. I can't hold that against them if they got there. That's a part of that process. Like, you do things for the betterment of the kid. You do things for the right reasons. You don't do it for yourself. Because what do I get out of it? I don't get anything.
Yeah.
I might get a Coach of the Year plaque or something like that. I haven't gotten one of those yet. Hope I do. But,
yeah.
But it depends on the kid, what the kid wants to do. Like, these kids came back for a 3rd year for me. They're like, we want to do it right. Like, are you sure? Yes. And I was like, well, these coaches are calling. It's like, it's not the right offer. I don't want it. Okay, it's fine. Let's get to work then. And then they trust me. So I think that the biggest thing is like, it's not results. It's like about the trust and the relationships on everything.
How big of a difference is it, when you get a high school kid and, and they've made their commitment to come to you or to come to Pratt, getting them to realize the difference between the level of wrestling from high school to, either D1 or D2 or JUCO, just that step up. Do some of them get shell shocked by just the level of, boy, this is, I was a 2-time state champ and thought I was a stud. And then I walk into a JUCO and I get the floor mopped with me. Is that hard, or do they know beforehand going into it?
So our sport is kind of crazy because at the beginning, I would get these kids and it's just like a quote that I saw or a video that I saw on Twitter, and it was about this old-timing guy. I think Manny actually retweeted it, and he said, everybody wants to look at a stat sheet these days. They don't want to go watch the player. So what is everybody doing? They're like looking at the stat sheet, and they're saying, oh, this kid's boom, 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 boom. man, he's putting up these numbers. Yeah, but who did he play? Like, how does he react to his teammates, all that stuff? I'm that guy. I didn't look at anything. Yeah, I look at the rankings, but I want to see where this kid's at. So I'll get like a 2-time state champion. He'll quit. But I'll get a kid that took third a couple of times, and they want to win. Perfect example is Brian Balderrama. He came in. He went 2-2 at the national tournament. Then the next year, he was just smoking people. Like, just back to back to back. Makes around the 12. Never would have thought he would have been there. I don't think out of high school nobody would have ever thought that. And he lost a very controversial match to where I lost a team point.
Oh, really?
I was very upset. I was very upset at that because it was the worst call ever. That referee got ejected for the rest of the tournament. It was bad.
Oh, wow. So
Yeah.
legit.
Yeah, it was legit. I'm a very, very not exciting person to watch in the corner, but if I stand up and I say something, it's you just don't mess with my kids. And I felt bad, and Brian was like, man, it's over, isn't it? I was like, it doesn't have to be. You've worked a lot, and everybody wanted him, but he's making good money doing what he does with his degree now. And but, like, that's the thing is, like, it takes about a month for them to realize that I ain't playing.
Yeah.
But when the competition sets in, they're ready, and they're good. But now I'm getting those kids that compete at a national level that are wrestling against these Ohio State commits, North Carolina commits, Michigan commits, Big Ten commits, Pac-12, everything. There's only like 70 programs that have Division I wrestling. So if you're in that top 70, that means that you're one of the top 70 wrestlers in the country. You know, I did that at App. Like, at the time, it was like 62. I was starting that night. I was like, I'm one of the 62 best. If I qualify, I'm top 30. And then if I make it to day 2, I'm top 16. You know, like, and
you start thinking about it like that.
But there's always some freaking freak 15-year-old that's going to come out and beat the hell out of you.
Really?
Yes, because that happens a lot now. There's a kid from North Carolina that I know, Jax Forrest. He is a sophomore in high school, and he won 2 collegiate opens this year.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not a game. Like, it's almost like if you have a really good track athlete, they can go to the KU relays.
Yeah, I was just watching that Area Pierce from Rock Creek. I think she's an 8th grader.
Yeah.
Took second at the Nebraska Open in the 200-meter dash.
Yeah.
And
how do you think that makes a 21-year-old
middle schooler
like
just went and beat these college kids?
Yeah, like Stetson Bennett getting picked off by a freaking kid that had to ask for a hall pass in the fall. You know, it's like, oh, crap, I got picked off 3 times by a 17-year-old. It's like, yeah, you're also 32.
Yeah.
You get a job. You know, like stuff like that. So you got a COVID seniors getting beat by an 8th grader. That can flatter you a little bit. That happens.
Yeah.
Our kids are those kids. Like, everybody's like, it's just a JUCO. Like, JUCO's up there. JUCO's very, very tough because, like I said, you get those international guys. They probably wrestled for their country's world team, and then they come to Colby.
Yeah.
You know, and they're 20-something. Great. Like, their culture and everything is great. They're very respectful and everything. But they're grown men wrestling your 18-year-old son.
Yeah.
Your 19-year-old. You know, like, everybody was picking on Jake because Jake was a 3-year kid, found his way after going to 2 schools he didn't like, and he was 18. He was 21, turning 22, and he didn't win a JUCO national title. He made the finals 3 times. He won it once, first time. Lost the next 2 finals. That's really hard to do, especially at JUCO where you got a lot of distractions because the kids are not focused as much. Jake was, but it was like those 2 losses that he took broke him. Like, he was like, I am better than that and everything. He's like, yeah, those guys are older than him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
And then you get these D1 drop downs and stuff. Like, it's insane. It's insane.
Yeah. For anybody listening, the Jake that you're talking about is Jake Beeson, who is now he's assistant coach here at Pratt High School. So if you see some new faces there on the sidelines at the Pratt High meets, that's Jake and Bo and AJ kind of taking over that men's program, and it's been fun to watch. But a lot of the reason I want to have you on just because I don't think people realize what you're doing out there at the JUCO. And this might be maybe not everybody's sentiment, but I always feel like that JUCO it's so close to town, but it always feels like there's a disconnect on, you know, what's going on out there. Sometimes it doesn't get the recognition or the attendance that, you know, it should, and I'm guilty of that. I don't get out to a lot of the JUCO things. I've been trying to more lately. But but there's a lot of good things that happen out there, and just down the highway here, not everybody, knows about it. You guys are wrestling Cowley County Thursday night, and you said, was it last year? You said you got close to breaking the attendance record for the Beaver Dome out there.
I mean, we don't have one.
Oh, well, so that was kind of the
capacity
impetus
limit
for this podcast. I said, well, hey, let's do a podcast, get, people to kind of know. There's probably a lot of people around town who've never even met you or, know the name Ken Kepley, let alone that you guys have a meet coming up or a duel coming up Thursday. So hopefully, we'll get this out to some people and we can get out there and fill the stands. But how big a struggle is that for you? You say you're gone all the time unless you're in season. How hard is that to try to create relationships around town, just to bring awareness to your program, but also having to be on the road as much as you are?
I think it's more of like the message that we're trying to send and relationships we're trying to build with the people that know, and then they just spread.
Yeah.
So like, a lot of people I work with are like their kids wrestle in the wrestling club, and then the wrestling club works at this job and it says, hey, these guys are pretty good. This, and this. Kyle Macklin, lived with him for however many years. He's like, hey, I'm going out to a JUCO wrestling match. People are like, why? He's like, well, one of the better teams in the state, like probably in the country. They're ranked this or whatever. It's like that one year. It's like it was all over the TVs at Legend.
Yeah.
Getting those little things like that out there. It's no different than a Hutch game.
Right.
And sometimes, like, I feel bad for Kenny because it's like, man, he needs more because they're really good this year.
I've been out and watched them a couple times this year. They're fun to watch.
Their losses have been so close, so minute. Like, it's like, I don't think people realize how good they are. Same thing with women's basketball. They've got a lot of wins this year. The Princess, like the girl that plays there, she's the second leading scorer in the country.
Wow.
Yeah, nobody knows that.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. There's always that, there's a lot of good things going on out there, and it feels like it doesn't make its way into town sometimes. I don't know why that is.
Yeah, our women's soccer team, they was just ridiculous this year. They were winning everything.
Yeah.
Got coach of the year for that. Like Kevin Cooley was soccer coach of the year. It's like, I tote them more than I tote myself, but I think that shows more of like what I'm trying to that culture we're trying to bring. With that, like it's hard to find a group that'll work together, that'll stay, because just the situations out there.
Yeah, just the fact that you've been out there for 11 years, I mean, that's great, and maybe that's a good thing for Pratt, But usually, I mean, the junior college coaching world is just a ladder that seems like it's constantly getting climbed.
Not necessarily. Like, how long has the Hutch coach been there?
I couldn't tell you.
The Coffeyville coach has a freaking gym or basketball floor named after him. There's a lot of like people that are there for a long time, but you got like I think it's more of an appreciation value.
Yeah.
So how do we fix that? Like how can I get the school to shut down in that entire student population at that high school to come over and watch this match? Just to be there.
Yeah.
Like free tacos.
Oh, I'm going to think about that. I got about 5 days to think about that, and we're going to see what we can do.
Yeah, and it's like, how can we do that for basketball?
Yep.
Not to compete against sport to sport, because we are getting along. It's not even trying anymore. Or we are getting along, but it's like, how can we fix that to where it's like, hey, we'll come over and pack the house for a wrestling match. What time is it this night? Whatever. Now we only have 2 home duels, but those home, like, it's not even about me though. It's about everybody but me. It's about the kids. We just did our like media day headshots and stuff like that today, and I told them, I was like, I'm gonna try to get this stuff done for you. There's a lot of people that want people to be here, and the good thing about wrestling matches, it's not like a tournament where you be there all day.
Yeah.
If we go out there and do our job, we could only be out there for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Or an hour. Like, it's an hour of your time on a Thursday. So, and it's going to be entertaining. We got the cheer squad there and everything. But it's like, how can we consistently get that done to where, like, people talk about Seward. They always have a packed house. They always have something. Getting all the teams there. So we strategized our schedule to where we do have baseball there. We do have men's and women's basketball because they play on a Wednesday. Thursday, they don't. So how can we get more people in there? But how can we get more people in town there?
Yep.
It's it's always been a question and something hard to overcome. But at the same time, it's like you got to start somewhere. And I think with Tim Schwarzenegger at the college, I think that we can make that happen. It's just that we got to find a steady, consistent way to get it done. And I think this is a part of it.
I hope this helps. Yeah,
yeah.
like I said, when we were talking last week or kind of through Kyle, I was like, well, let's try to do it this weekend. That way we can get that podcast published Monday, you know, and give people a chance to, know what's going on and get to know you and maybe help a little bit pack the house Thursday night.
And I don't want it to be like, because we're having what I'm really excited about on Thursday is like, my kids get to compete in front of all their peers and their friends in the town. But the wrestling club has 2 matches at intermission. So
I didn't know that.
So we have 2 guys and 2 girls wrestling, little ankle biters, wrestling each other. I'm going to have entrance music for them.
Yep.
The cheerleaders are going to cheer for them.
That'll be neat.
Yes, I'm trying to get with Tiffany Bailey to get takedown T-shirts. If we could get a takedown, you throw out a T-shirt, even for them, throw out a T-shirt.
Yeah.
So it's like, the more you gotta spend money to make money
Right.
sometimes. But we're not trying to make money.
You're right. Just trying to create some buzz and some hype and, get it going.
And it's for the kids that are competing. Like that's the main thing is that I think that everybody's like, well, they need to come watch me because I'm doing this and that. Nah, that's not it. Because me, I just sit in the corner and I just sit there and just let them, like the hay's in the barn, they got to go. Now, basketball, watching Kenny just walk up and down the court, it's kind of funny. And but they have to do that. Me, it's like, man, I yell at them in the practice room, but then it's like, are you gonna go out there and get punked? Or are you gonna go in?
Yeah.
So we've done all the work. It's time to put it together.
Yeah.
And it's all of it is a check mark and at a checkpoint for the national tournament. So.
That's going to be exciting. I'm excited to come out and watch. For anybody that does, and I'm not a big wrestling guy other than just a fan of watching. I've kind of tried to get into it more over these last couple of years as I've had some friends with kids get into it. But are there major differences in the rules between high school and college? I haven't watched any college wrestling, so when I come out Thursday, other than maybe a little bit on TV, but is it drastically different or is it
an extra minute?
An extra minute per period? So still three periods, but they're 3-minute periods instead
3 is 3-2-2. In high school, it's 2-2-2.
Okay.
And the out of bounds is different. So in high school, the minute you step a foot out or 2 feet out, whistle stops.
Okay.
So we call it a halo rule. So it's like a circle, and you could have your hand over the halo and take somebody down and just stick your hand out and get a takedown. So it's kind of like it's more exciting.
More points scored, or like
people get so creative on the edge.
Okay.
And then stalling is called a little bit more. That's when one wrestler is not doing enough.
Right, just to force the pace.
Yeah, and then riding time. So you'll see like another clock on the clock that's count up or down in a color.
Okay.
So if I am on top and I'm riding a guy, like trying to pin him, I gain a point if it's over a minute. Now, if I have 4 minutes riding time, doesn't mean I get 4 points. It's just 1 minute.
Okay.
That can be the deciding factor in a lot of matches because if somebody can't get away from you, they probably won't pick bottom in the third period. They'll probably pick neutral because you have 57 seconds of riding time or something.
Oh, so it accumulates. It doesn't reset each time. It's not like back points or something. That clock builds kind of and banks the whole match.
And then if the other guy gets on top, the time goes down.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, so
that's interesting.
Yeah, it's a chess match. And in high school, it's more checkers.
Yeah.
In college, it's more chess.
That's an interesting way to put it. But I can see that.
Yeah, in the world level, it's like Yahtzee.
Really?
Like, it's crazy. Like, yeah, you can end a match in 10 seconds if you wanted to.
Wow.
Yeah, so it is exciting. We try to make it exciting with our pace and the way that we wrestle. These guys have worked hard and they deserve the recognition and the time, everybody's time to come watch because it's going to be exciting. Like these guys have been working really hard, and we got 7 ranked guys in the country. The other 3, one of them has 20-something wins. I don't know how he's not ranked. And the other 2 have kind of been out with a little bit of an injury here and there, but our heavyweights ranked number 1 in the country. Our 133-pounders ranked number 2 in the country. And they're all from Kansas, like all 10 of them. And they're all from around this area. Samaje Alboyd, he's from Larned. He's ranked fourth in the country. He's ranked second in the country in takedowns. He's got 56. And the guy in first place has 73. But we set Samaje out of a tournament, which he could have gotten probably 20 more.
Yeah.
And then he didn't wrestle last week because due to illness. So like we're like
he's
I
right
didn't
there.
I didn't even know that until somebody tweeted that. And we are like on a steady pace with D1 guys that have that many takedowns.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I looked at him. I was like, did you know that you're ranked second? And he's like, no, I didn't. I was like, it doesn't matter. We don't care.
But it's not.
But it's cool that somebody recognizes
it's neat to see. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like if nobody's out in the crowd, we're still going to do our thing.
Right.
But it is so much fun when people like get into it when the baseball team is on the other team's head the whole time and they don't even know what the hell's going on. Or when the cheerleaders are out there and they don't know what's going on, but like they could see the momentum of me getting out of a chair or the guys yelling.
Yeah, you can just kind of feel that wave of energy and kind of know which way to cheer as it builds.
Yeah, you see Barb Prater walk around with their camera, like taking pictures.
Yeah.
And then you see the little kids jumping up and down and all that stuff. It's pretty fun. And like we're just trying to make it really loud. Like one thing we're doing different this year is that we're going to play music during the match. We could play it at 85 decibels.
Oh, okay.
So it won't be like dead.
Yeah.
So we're just trying to make it more like entertaining and entertainment.
And it's going to be on the radio too. Austin told me he was going to be broadcasting it on the radio. He's like, I don't know how good I'm going to be at play-by-play wrestling, but he said Jake's going to help him out. So he said at least Jake's going to be there with me to kind of explain what's going on.
It's going to be fun. I think that the February 2nd one is going to be even better.
Okay.
Jake's dad, Chad Beeson, he got diagnosed with lymphoma, and he has been kicking its ass crazy.
Oh, good.
Like his white blood cell count is crazy high and everything, and he's just been doing phenomenal. He's supposed to he's been doing our home stuff, and now Jake's back here, so he's kind of wants to see him.
Yeah.
Wants to see his Jake's kid, he wants to see Karis. He wants to see all these people, which is great. And then he was like, I'll announce, because he was like, he got Keisha's Sports Broadcaster of the Year.
Oh, really?
Like that. Yeah, and he does a really good job of it. But he's going to miss this match, but he'll be back for February the 2nd.
Okay.
So it's like, and he drives from Cowley County.
Yeah.
He drives from Mark City to do it. Like, so I think that these kids deserve this recognition because of, look at who is helping with the program. We got a guy driving from Garden City for free. We got somebody's dad who doesn't wrestle for me anymore coming from here. It's like the appreciation. It's almost like building an alumni base.
Mm-hmm.
Most JUCOs don't have that alumni base. Football, maybe. Like Coffeyville, they're going to have that football that stuff. But we got a pretty good deal. Like when we did a hog roast at Woody's, I would say probably 30 alumni came. Now, a lot of our alumni are PE teachers. They coach football and all that stuff, and they couldn't make it. But a lot of my coaching buddies over the spring and the summer with Team Kansas come down. And like that's probably the biggest thing with it is that you wouldn't be able to tell who's in the crowd. You wouldn't, because a lot of those people you don't know.
Right.
Because they come from all over the state to see their kid wrestle, or their old teammate wrestle, or just come back and see stuff.
Well, I think that's about as good a compliment as you can get as a coach and as a program to know you're doing things the right way.
Yeah.
I'm excited for Thursday night. What time do people need to be out there Thursday night to kick things off?
Come out at 6.
6 o'clock?
The match starts at 7. There's going to be a soup feed from the athletic department and Beaver backers. If you haven't joined, you can. I'll just check out our website and look at that. But they'll have a hospitality room with a little bit of alcohol and stuff like that over there. All of those things will start out at about 6 o'clock, and I'm nowhere to be found before that because I'm getting those guys ready.
But I'd imagine so.
Yeah, but we come out, we do work, and we get to work, and we figure it out. So hopefully, everything goes to plan, and we get things going, and we make the match quick so everybody can be
get out there, take care of business, put on a show.
Yeah.
Hey, to end on it, I noticed on your Twitter you are constantly pumping out like a quote here and there of the day. You're a big quote guy. Do you have one that is your favorite, or one that stands out to you? A quote that you always go to?
Yes. It's the best quote I've ever heard in my life, because everybody wants to talk about rankings. Everybody wants to talk about 5 stars. Everybody wants to talk about 4 stars. I've got 3 of them. And one of them is it was from my high school coach, Mike Helms. He was a coach at Lenore Ryan, and then he went back to high school and stuff. It was D2 in North Carolina. And he said, everybody's All-American in shorts.
I like that.
Yeah, that's my favorite one. And I tell people that all the time. And it kind of motivates them. They don't get it. They're like, what do you mean? It's All-American in shorts. It's like, well, everybody's All-American in shorts. When you put the pads on, it's different. Now, me, I was really good at football in high school. But I played basketball. I did all the sports. So doing just wrestling quotes really irritates me because they're like, oh, you're doing all these basketball quotes. Oh, we don't like basketball. Why? It's awesome. It's great. Michael Jordan was everybody's favorite athlete.
Yep.
Okay? You can talk about Dan Gable all you want, but Michael Jordan was awesome. Okay? Everybody likes MJ. Everybody likes Kobe.
Yeah.
I hated Kobe when he played, but you had to respect him. And I'm a Hornets fan. I'm a Charlotte Hornets fan.
Yep.
But what? Oh, yeah, we made the playoffs. We got to play freaking Michael first round because we're 8. Okay, so you got to get over it. The other one is mean, tough, nasty. I'm a big LSU fan, huge. And when they won a 2019 championship, you just I was just following these podcasts and stuff. And they would talk about all of these fights that Joe Burrow would get in. He would go fight Devin White. During practice.
Really?
Yes. They would get in fist fights. And he was like...
That's probably why he's so well respected by his teammates.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't want to cuss on there, but I remember one practice, and it's some footage that I saw, and they do this breakdown, and he looked at Devin White, and he said, we're beating your ass today. And Devin White's like, what the hell you just say? And it's he threw for however much, and it pissed Devin White off. And when he got... Devin White's a freaking all-pro.
Yep.
That team, they did something special, and it was awesome.
Yeah, it was a magical year.
Yeah, and I was so happy. But then, down spell now. But that was the second one. The other one is everybody's All-American in shorts, mean, tough, nasty. And it's the other one's Jay says it all the time, hay's in the barn. You got to figure it out on your own. A lot of the guys are man, you don't really basketball and football is always on top of you. No, don't do it this way. And they see Nick Saban yelling at somebody. It's yeah, because that kid had one assignment and he couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Well, in wrestling, you got a lot of assignments, and I can't do anything for you. I can't sub you. I can't do anything.
All right, you put the work in throughout the week, throughout this winter, throughout this. It's hey,
here's your homework. Here's your quiz. Here's your test.
Yeah.
All week, figure out the homework, do the quiz, do the test. I can't be your proctor every time. But I'm your chaperone. I'm going to get you there. You got to prepare. You got to do the things behind the scenes in order to get it right. And then you just see it all, see them figure it out. Watching them figure it out is not winning. It's not anything. The process is the process. You watch them figure it out, and you watch them figure out the way you showed it to them. That's the best feeling in the world as a coach, period. And that's the only way it should be. But you got kids that kind of show you something new. It's oh, you know what? I'm going to change that too. Because all coaches, and they'll lie everything if they don't agree with me, every coach is a thief. They just steal stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're all thieves. All this
Yeah, you
stuff.
see something you like and say, oh, I hadn't implemented that before. I'm going to this week.
Yeah, and Kirby Smart said something the other day too. It's don't be the blame guy. You should never go up to a coach and say, I don't know, or it wasn't my fault.
Yep.
So the SEC football is something I grew up on a lot. And just listening to those coaches coach and everything. I had a cousin play at Florida State for Bobby Bowden. I had 2 cousins. They're in the NFL right now. That one of them played for Wake Forest, one played for Carolina. They're the Surratt brothers. And I've been blessed to actually compete against a lot too. Because when I played basketball from North Carolina, I played against the Junior Hornets. I played against Chris Paul. I played against Ishmael Smith, who's still in the league. I played against Jamie Skeen, who was on VCU's team. I've played against these guys. Those were the worst ass whoopings I've ever taken in my life.
but like you said, as long as you fall forward and learn something from it.
I've played against Chris League. I've played against those Independence teams. Now, it was passing scrimmages, but I've never seen anybody pump fake with a right hand and then throw an 80-yard bomb with a left. Never seen that before in my life. He's a national champion. You learn things by by failing and just going after it instead of just saying, I'm not doing that. I'll quit. I'm not as good as that.
Yeah.
That's kind of how because I started wrestling in 7th grade. Some of these kids are like,
oh yeah, it's
like
early.
4 years old.
Yeah.
Like I asked Jake, I was like, when did you start? And he was like, probably 3.
Yeah.
But me, I'm like, I started in 7th grade, and I had a really big, like my learning curve had to turn into a learning line really fast. And I went Division 1. You know, like I beat 17 nationally ranked guys in high school. I never won a state championship. You know, like everybody always.
Yeah, that's kind of how you grade, or not grade someone, but you look at someone and I mean, you judge their success a little bit by, as an outsider looking in. Unless like, oh, that was a 2-timer, or he's gonna be a 4-timer.
Judgment kills everything before anything starts because they're like, oh, this kid isn't anything. He didn't win a state title. Okay, well, who did he compete against to where he didn't get it? Was he in the toughest weight class? I wanted to be remembered to be. I went out there and wrestled in that toughest weight class, and I finished 3rd instead of cutting a lot of weight, looking like crap, and then just saying that I was at the top of a podium. I don't care about those things. I think I was more of a process guy growing up because my dad was a coach of everything that I did. Sometimes I would just say, I wish I had another coach. But then I get to college, I'm like, where is he at?
Yeah.
It's like the safety deal. I grew out of it really fast because my coaches were a lot more elite than that. But at the same time, it's like that respect factor. And I think that a lot of people kind of stop themselves by limiting on their judgment.
Yeah.
The comparison is the thief of joy always. So it's like little things like that. Like you keep comparing yourself to somebody else that's this, or this, or what they have and what they don't have. I mean, like people do that at Pratt all the time. We don't have this as a facility. We don't have a locker room. We don't have this, this, and this. You don't hear me say a word. And I'll just look at them and I was like, what are you complaining about? I was practicing when we got back from Christmas break with half lights on.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah, doesn't matter. You got to work with what you got.
Yeah,
you know.
Like my thing is that, and this is no testament to anybody. Everybody always says, if you can win at Pratt, you can win anywhere. And I was like, no, if I can win anywhere, I can win anywhere. I don't need anything. I just need, like when we went from books and tuition to giving full rides because of football, the football schools. I'm still giving books and tuition. I can give fees now, which we could do back then too. I was like, there's nothing that's changed. And people were like, oh, I got to do this, this, and this. It's like, you don't have to. It's the relationships that the kids want than anything because they could scrounge out a little bit more money for the experience. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, good. It sounds like you're doing a heck of a job. The proof is in the process, and the results have come with it. I'm excited to get out there Thursday night and watch you. So thanks for popping in today, and hopefully we get plenty of people watch this or listen to it and realize, hey, we need to get out there Thursday night or February 2nd also and see what this PCC wrestling's all about because it sounds like it's something you don't want to miss. So again, Ken, thanks for coming in, and good luck Thursday night. We'll see you out there.
Thanks for having me.
All right, thanks, Ken.